Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about Cemetery Alch-And-Go. I want to update you guys about what I've been farming over the last 2 days over on my live stream on twitch.tv/Palsteron. I get that not everybody has time to join in, right? So what have I been doing? So after making the Winter character, which was a lot of fun, we're now looking over the horizon and we want to make new builds, and new builds need a lot of currency. Now that being said, compared to my other farming strat that I shared, the Strongbox altar farming, this is not as entry friendly, but it's not because it costs a lot, right? This is the only thing we're going to use. 2 rusted scarabs that together go for 1C, both together, right? It's all we're going to use. But the thing is, your build has to be fast. And I say that because in this strategy, we're not talking about juicing up your map to the maximum. We're talking about skipping everything that slows you down in the map, distilling it down to the most important things that give you the most currency, like essences or just straight up map completions. All you have to know is the faster your build is, the more you will get out of this. That doesn't mean that you can't do it without a headhunter, right? A headhunter isn't necessary. I'm talking about, for example, do you have a lot of movement speed? Do you have a ascendancy that is maybe made for farming, or are you more of a bosser? So if you are a bosser, I would probably not do this strategy. But if at some point you're looking to make a mapper, this might be interesting for you as well. But let's go into the strat. So we want to complete maps fast. Now, what does that give us, right? You might ask, well, why don't you go for stuff like Legion or Abyss or Breach or Blight or anything like that? Let me explain. So one of the biggest separators of somebody who makes a lot of currency and somebody who does not is what they don't do in a map, not what they do in a map. And that is stuff that slows them down. They understand that, for example, if they are not spec'd into Breaches are probably not worth it. If they're not spec'd into Legions are probably not worth it. And they skip that mechanic. But what's even more important is what's in the map that's for free. So what is in the map that you don't have to add with like a scarab or currency or a sextant that you just get for free every single map? And the more of those 3 things you get in the map, the more it is good to not make your map long so you can encounter all those 3 things again. Now, let me explain what I mean, for example. The additional essence, it's actually not 1 additional essence, right? Because you also have all this chance to get a second one, right? But essences right now are a ton of money. So what happens if you make your map juicy as hell? You go, I don't know, Legion, Blight, Breaches, whatever. What happens is your map's going to take 5 minutes or something, right? And you're only going to encounter one of these essences. So if I'm somebody who does maps fast, for example, I do a map every minute and I just go boom, 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 I will get 5 essences. So it's always important that you kind of think about those 3 things in your maps. Now, the next free thing that you have in your map are altars, right? Whether you go for Searing Exarch or you go for Eater of Worlds, you will get a lot of value from simply just clicking altars. We're talking scarabs, we're talking currencies. I mean, this is what we farmed over the last 4 days, right? These are like 1 chaos each, that's 1,000 chaos. This is like 1,400 chaos right now, and this is like almost 2,000 chaos, right? So just these small currencies add up so quickly over time. Now, then you also get completions. Searing Exarch maps right now are going for around about 100 chaos, and the small ones are going for like 8 chaos. So if you complete 28 maps, you just get like 110-ish chaos. That means that every single map you complete is basically worth 4 chaos if we do the math. So what's holding you back in terms of currency gains is not that you don't juice enough. The problem is maybe that you juice too much. So what happens is you get all of these free things, right, in a map, altars, the essence, boss completions, right? And, well, now you're off to the next map and you get all of that free stuff again. Whereas somebody who makes their map longer gets all of these like legions and abysses and whatnot. And instead, they just lose out on all of this. And this habit of juicing your maps up is definitely something that you have to try and break over time, because it is one of the biggest misconceptions to, for example, think about returns per map, right? Instead of thinking about returns per hour. Now, one of the things you might want to say to me is, Palsteron, okay, that sounds pretty logical, sounds pretty cool, but what about map sustain? Well, with strategies like this, you're not really juicing your map, right? So let's look at the downsides. Well, you still have to put in a map and still have to get out a map to run the same map over and over, right? So that is a big downside, you might say. Well, true, but the new Voidstones actually make this a lot easier. So there's a reason I started the strat right after the new Voidstones came out, because these just make it so goddamn easy to sustain your maps. I actually had to stop putting in cemeteries in my favorite slots, because right now I have so many that I just like convert them into something else. It has gone too crazy. And the reason is because of the buff of the Voidstones, the recent one. Maps dropped in areas have 25% chance to be 1 tier higher. times 4 for a total of 100%. Now you might be confused, well, Palsteron, if I have all my Voidstones in, what does that even do? Because all my maps are going to be tier 16. That's not how it works. The game still calculates up from different tiers. It doesn't show it, but there is a calculation going on. If you want to know more about this, Grim made a huge and awesome video about this if you don't know already. So if you don't know what map equity system means, you can definitely check that out to understand more. But TLDR or TLDW, if you have these, your sustain will go up immensely. And just to show you how insane this update was, I mean, number one, you can just look at T16 maps right now. They go for like 1 to 2 chaos in bulk, right? So other than that, you can look at like 25% times 4. That's 100% chance to have a 1 tier higher, right? And then we look at how many nodes we had to spec before to get the same results, and you can quickly see why this is just huge. But let's go over the passive tree real quickly. Number one moneymaker is going to be your altars, and these are going to be either the Searing Exarch or the Eater of Worlds. It doesn't really matter which one you want to go with. Both are viable, both have their advantages. I will tell you that I personally right now prefer the Searing Exarch, because the faster you are, the better Searing Exarch gets over Eater of Worlds. And that is because the Searing Exarch mobs spawn way faster than the Eater of Worlds mobs. Because the Eater of World mob, they have like this mob type that needs like 1 to 1.5 seconds to actually pop up. And if you have like a Headhunter build or just any mapper in general, at that point, you're already like 2 screens further, right? So what are you going to do with these mobs? You're going to just, I don't know, like miss a lot of them. I did this actually, I tested this on stream. And the problem just was that when I backtracked after I did everything, I saw that I missed so many mobs and so many altars. So in the end, while Eater of Worlds has a lot more altars because this node is way stronger than the corresponding Searing Exarch node, in the end, it just meant more sense to actually go with Searing Exarch. And also something I want to mention here is that if you do Searing Exarch, you have to upgrade this Pantheon here and take it. Soul of Aberrath. Searing Exarch mobs are a lot rippier, and they have this Burning Ground that completely decimates you. And if you don't spec into this one, chances are you're going to get one shot immediately. It doesn't matter how tanky you are. Dots are just a different kind of breed this patch. So definitely take Soul of Aberrath if you choose the Searing Exarch. Also, as a small tidbit, Eater of Worlds has a mod on their altars, a downside, right, that makes it so your projectiles fire randomly, right? So if you're a projectile-based build, that might also get really annoying, because if you have to hover over and read every altar, that is very tiring very quickly, and you might just accidentally click that, and now all of a sudden all your damage is gone. Number 2 moneymaker in this build is essences. Essences are absolutely huge. I don't think I have to talk about them too much, but basically you get an additional essence every single map. That essence also has a chance to get even more essences in it, right? If there is a shrieking here, it gets duplicated, and the at least one shrieking is basically always in there, because essences found are a tier higher in every map. So yeah, this basically duplicates your essence, so you get 2 essences every map at least. And if we talk about essences, people are talking about essences are not that great anymore. They're getting so much cheaper. It is true, but you're dropping so many, like it's a joke, right? You drop so many, and some of these are still worth quite a bit, right? Especially the ones that give attributes because of omniscience or omniscience, or however you pronounce it, right? Because of instackers, because of strength stackers. There's like zeal essences. Some of those will always retain their value, so essences are always number one. Now, also one of the reasons why essences will retain their value is because so many people are playing with the new crazy implicits, and those are mostly crafted with essences because you cannot do any influence stuff like Awakener Orbs, etc. Now, one of the things where you can see how powerful essences are actually a lot of the fossil prices, because a lot of people predicted, oh, so essences are going to go down. No, what happened is essences are so much in demand that on the other hand, fossils have been going down and everybody's crafting with essences. So TLDR, everybody still wants essences. These are huge money every map. Now, next up, let's talk about this Flash Breach over here. This might confuse you, right? I'm not taking any of the other breach nodes. Why am I taking Flash Breach, right? Maybe you think, oh, breaches are not that good. Kind of true, but I'll tell you why. So we are using this rusted breach scarab. Now, obviously, I cannot predict the future, right? But I bought these for 0.2 chaos in bulk. That is 5 of these for 1 chaos. Let's check if that's still true. Yeah, it's even less at this point. So basically, that's what you pay for a breach. That is basically like, I don't know, picking up an Orb of Alteration. And what you get in return is you get a breach that will be opening faster. It will have more monster density. And what you have to think about this is not like you usually do breaches where you stand there or whatever. You want to complete maps fast, so you're going to have something with a lot of movement speed. So what you're going to do is you're going to walk over the hand, right, that opens the breach, and then you're going to do whatever. And if you time it correctly, you come back, all the monsters have spawned, and now you have, I don't know, 400, 500 mobs just sitting there basically for free. So this node is absolutely crucial just for that. It gives you way too many mobs. But then on the second hand, what this breach also does is it delays your delirium mirror if you hit one. And you have, with this node here, 4% chance for a mirror of delirium, and we're also stacking all of these small ones. You have a total of 15% chance to get a mirror of delirium because you have a 8% base chance already. So with those nodes, you will see a mirror of delirium double as frequently as you usually would. And what the breach also does as the second function is in those maps, it will actually delay the fog. So you have more time to clear everything. You're going to get more splinters. So it kind of double dips in that sense. Now, what's going to complement these delirium mirrors and the breach and just having a lot of pack size on your altars, right, from here. And by the way, you should also take these because they count globally. They're not only for Eater of Worlds, right? Is going to be Beyond. So this Beyond is not going to be anything crazy, right? Like I said, I don't want to make my map too long. We also don't go all in on like Fiendish Opulence. This is just having a little bit more mobs, right? A little bit more XP, having all of those good things. But basically what it also works with is Fortune Favors the Brave, which we're going to talk in a second. We're taking the nodes here, shaping the values. This gives us pack size, rarity, and quantity, while we have Fortune Favors the Brave. And we're also taking up here, we're completing a lot of maps very quickly. So having this 2% chance to drop Elder, Shaper, and whatnot, and Gaze into the Abyss as well. This is actually not worth unless you're actually running Guardians, which would be a different strat, right? Like 1% chance for extra Shaper Guardians is not worth that much. They go for like 10 Chaos right now. The Synthesis maps were a little bit worse, but you can definitely reconsider switching from this to the Synthesis maps if maybe the Synthesis maps go up like crazy in the next few weeks or something. Now we're also going for the extra Sextant use, pretty self-explanatory. And then we also have these Scouting Reports nodes here, which you might be a little bit confused by. Expert Reconnaissance and the Planner Tactician. So basically what Scouting Reports are is this new currency that they introduced this patch. And these are like basically they reroll your Keurig missions, right? So they give you more options. And as somebody who doesn't really do Keurig missions, you can see here I have over 200 saved up right now because I complete maps so fast. Is some of these Scouting Reports are actually worth money. Now, as of this recording, comprehensive Scouting Reports are going for around about 12 Chaos each. I don't know, maybe they sell for more in bulk. Basically, what comprehensive Scouting Reports are, you can only drop them if you have Planner Tactician. Basically, this has a 20% chance that whenever a Scouting Report drops, it instead drops as a comprehensive Scouting Report. So instead of the usual 1 to, I don't know, 9 Chaos that you get from a Scouting Report, you get guaranteed 12 Chaos, which is very, very nice. You also get some chance to get Keurig missions. I don't know how important that is going to be, right? I'm not really using them right now, but I guess it's nice to have. And then you also get this note here, which gives you another 60% increased Scouting Reports found in areas. And the currency actually adds up quite quickly. I mean, these two all together are like 1,000 Chaos, right? If I sell them. And then we have some more Scouting Reports. Yeah, these all dropped, right? And half of those would have dropped anyways, right? But the other half would not have dropped if I didn't have the nodes. On top of that, these nodes do not slow you down. They just give you more loot. They don't require you to kill a pack or anything. So they also don't slow us down. But what I will say with the Scouting Reports is while they are worth right now, I'm pretty sure that these are pretty volatile. Like maybe there's a new strat coming out and all of a sudden they spike up, but they might also go down as the league goes longer. So these are definitely the most replaceable nodes in this tree. Then let's talk about Fortune Favors the Brave. Now we're using Fortune Favors the Brave because it does cost 3 Chaos, but what it does is it gives us 10% quantity, 10% rarity, and 10% pack size. Now, the number one thing here is the pack size. So getting influenced mobs is very important because it gives you more chance to hit an altar the more you have. And getting pack size is one of the hardest things ever. Like they gave us a lot of tools to get quantity, right? I could just take these nodes and get more quantity and stuff like that. But pack size, that is a different beast. So getting 10% from here is actually huge. So Fortune Favor the Brave will basically mean you get more pack size, therefore more altars, therefore more scarabs, more eldritch currency and all that jazz. And basically it gives you a random thing on the map device. Now, that could be Abyss, which is not very good. That could be Domination, which is very solid. Bloodlines is super solid. Ambush is solid. Harbinger is okay-ish. Beyond is probably the jackpot, honestly, which is also one of the reasons we want to lean a little bit into the Beyond nodes, because whenever it procs, it's actually huge. And Ritual is kind of a downer. I would say you should basically stay away from doing Rituals at all. It's just going to slow you down. So as you can see, the options here aren't crazy, but the thing is, even if Fortune Favors the Brave gave us nothing but the 10 pack size, 10 quantity, it would still be worth it. Next up, we're using 2 Scarabs here and then 2 frags to just fill out and get a little bit of free quant, right? Which is going to be the Rusted Breach Scarab and the Rusted Cartography Scarab. Now, one thing I want to point out right now is this is not because I'm on a budget. This is actually the exact opposite. It is because these are the most cost efficient. Now, one of the things that comes with completing maps fast is you also have to spend a lot more of these scarabs, right? So you want to downgrade them as much as possible and keep your cost as low as possible, right? So if I was to, for example, go for a polished breach scarab in every single map, that would drive up my cost. Let's say I want to buy it in bulk, right? That would drive up my cost to, let's say, okay, still just 1 chaos, right? So we go from 0.2 chaos to 1 chaos every single map. That might not sound like much to you, but when you're doing a lot of maps, it is. And then if we're looking at the cartography one, we're looking at rusteds, which are around about half a chaos. And then we have polished, which are going for a chaos each. So every single map, that would mean you're losing like 1 to 2 chaos. One of the things I will say as well is that the polished breach scarab is also not good because you actually don't want 2 breaches. I already told you about it. You want to open 1 breach, you want to do whatever, come back to it, and then kill all the mobs in there that you get for free. They're already spawned, you don't have to wait there. And if you have 2 breaches, well, you can't open both at the same time, so it would kind of result in waiting times. So while you can play around with polished cartography if they get cheaper or something, because in bulk right now, they're actually quite hard to buy. I'm pretty sure they don't actually sell for 1 chaos in bulk. Yeah, they do not. If we go for chaos here, yeah, it's more like 3 chaos each, right? So that's a lot more cost. If they go down, theoretically you can, but you won't really have any problem with map sustain whatsoever. So I don't know why would you. Definitely don't go for polished breach scarabs. Now, I also want to quickly talk about divination scarabs. I actually used to use these, and that is because they were very, very cheap. Right now, the rusted divination scarabs are going up back to 1 chaos, which at that point, I don't think they're worth it anymore. And polished divination scarabs are just worth, like, basically never worth it for the strat because we're not really juicing, right? So you would have to put one in every minute, right? And that is like 4 chaos every minute. But definitely do revisit. Maybe the rusted divination scarab goes down again. I kind of doubt it. But the reason why you have to think about divination cards is because you can drop the Brothers Stash divination card in cemeteries. Now, in 700 maps total, we have found 4 of those. So don't think about them too much. We're not concentrating on them. We're not trying to force them, right? They're just a nice sprinkle in there that you get here or there. You have to get lucky to actually drop them, right? But the more maps you do, the more regularly you will get lucky. Now, one thing I want to mention real quickly, if you're working up to your 4 Voidstones and you only have 3 right now, you could theoretically start this strat already because Cemetery is still going to be at T15 at that point, which still makes it possible for you to actually do the strat. In order to do the altars, you only have to be in a map that's tier 14 or higher, but definitely get this one as quickly as possible. Otherwise, your map sustain will be a lot worse. Let's actually do a test run now. We're going to do Cemetery like we just talked about. And this map just has a really, really nice layout. I will show you everything about it. We're choosing Searing Exarch. Once again, don't forget to get your Pantheon ready. If you do, you need the Burning Ground immunity. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed. If you want to do Eater of Worlds, it is a lot more forgivable, but there's going to be a lot of chills. So maybe get like chill immunity somewhere. Now we're going to go Fortune Favors the Brave, and we're going to go with the 2 scarabs here with Rusted Breach, Rusted Cartography, and you can also throw in 2 frags if you have them lying around for a little bit of extra quant. All right, let's jump into it. So there's nothing really much happening, because what you want to do is you want to complete it quickly, right? So there's not going to be much juice to talk about. We can see we did not hit a Mirror of Delirium, which is a 1 in 7 chance. Now let's see how I actually what I do with the breach, right? So you can see I opened it here. This is a lot of mobs. We hit a Chayula, which is nice, right? You can open these. Now, what I do usually is I go around, right? Go down, clear a little bit of stuff, then I come back up, and you can see here all the mobs are just waiting for me. There's no reason to stick around. I can go up, look at these mobs, right? And we kill them all, right? And now you see all of these altars. Now, what you want to choose, usually I would say, is you want to choose the option that gives you something on kill. These could be, I don't know, these could be scarabs, these could be eldritch currency. In this case, it's like basic currency, which is not that great. You can also like always read them, but my intuition is that you're going to save a lot more time if you just always click the minion, right? And if there's anything else, then maybe click the other one. We're not really rushing to the boss, right? So that was the first one. Second one, I just always click the minion option, right? And we just go, go, go. In this case, we didn't really get lucky. Now here we got the 3% chance for a scarab. So we're going to see some scarabs. Now there's no minion option here. So I usually go for the player gains. Now these are basically buffs that are global to the map. There's also boss drops, but the only boss drop that is really good is Eldritch Currency, because that doesn't drop the normal Eldritch Currency. It drops stuff like Eldritch Chaos Orb, Eldritch Exalted Orb, stuff like that. So the only really boss option I would go for is that. Otherwise, just click here, right? The thing about reading all of these altars is it will cost you a lot of time, right? And it's going to be annoying, right? You're going to spend 5 seconds at every altar. That is a lot less maps that you can run. Now, let's get to the boss. The boss is really, really easy. It's the one from, I think it was Act 7, right? You just kill him. You get a lot of completions. Like we said, we talked about this one earlier, right? This is because we're using these here, Remnants of the Past, and we did get lucky with an extra Elder map. This one goes for like 17 chaos right now. We're starting to drop some scarabs. Now also see that I'm actually skipping Archnemesis right now. That doesn't mean that you have to. It just means that it's going to slow you down. We're going to step over the Abyss, but that does not mean that you have to actually do the Abyss, right? We're just going to pull through. Now here is a essence, and what I'm actually going to tell you is forgot something, because you actually want to have Remnants of Corruptions with you to corrupt a lot of these. Remnants of Corruptions are quite inexpensive this league. So what I do is on the side here, I always have like a stack, and then whenever you can, you're going to corrupt them. Now let's quickly do that here. Boom. Didn't really get any upgrades. Now usually you would only do that when you can get a like a corrupted essence, but with the current prices you can just throw them on whenever, right? If you upgrade something from shrieking to for example deafening, that is a huge upgrade, right? We got a essence of horror, which is going for like 20 chaos right now. Now I usually like to loot on the way. If you prefer to loot at the end, you can also just run through and then circle back, right? It's not really my preferred way of playing, but that is up to you, right? As you can see, we're skipping all of these altars. We're picking these up, right? We're picking these up. And all of these are for free. And what you can see here is this is actually not a lucky occurrence, right? This is going to happen to you a lot. So all of these things have been for free in my map. I did not pay anything for a scarab. I did not do anything that takes me like a minute to get these. These are all free, and these are going to accumulate over time. And if you do this correctly, if, for example, you're not a content creator that talks over his stuff, you can do these in like a minute, and you're going to get this times, I don't know, 60 per hour. And I'm pretty sure you can see how this will add up real quickly. Now, so far, we have been talking low investment. I told you, you still have to have a fast build, but per map, this is not going to cost you basically anything other than the 3 chaos from the Fortune Favors the Brave, and these which cost like together 1 chaos per map, right? So that's like 4 chaos investment per map, maybe a little bit of chisel, maybe Alch or something. Let's say 5 chaos per map, right? Now, what you can do on top is Sextants. Now, Sextants are incredibly lucrative, and that is not because it just gives you more mobs, right? It is because you can now actually itemize compasses with compasses, and you can sell these to other players. Now, you can buy compasses by going over to Kirac, go to purchase items, and you can see here a compass costs you 1 chaos. So let's buy some of these, right? So basically what will happen is you will apply Sextants. Now these go for like 2.5 to 3 chaos right now, right? So they can be quite expensive. That's why I'm saying you can do it if you have the currency. Now, if you have the currency, in my opinion, you should always do that. Also, let me switch so you can actually see what's going on. If you have the currency for Sextants, you should always do these because they will actually make you money while giving you more mobs in your map. And basically what you do is you apply it here. Let's say we apply all of these 4, and then you can basically see all these mods, right? And now, for example, you can click on Strongbox monsters are enraged, blah, 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 boom. Now it's in an itemized form, and you can sell it to other Strongbox players, right? Now, for example, if you want to search for this, right, you can do that, right? And right now, if you have 4 uses remaining, that means that these go for like 13 chaos each. So what I just did, right, is I didn't even hit a good one, right? Like a Sacred Grove, which right now I think goes for like, let's see, I think last time it was like 100 chaos or something. Let's check if I'm actually right. Yeah, 100 chaos. If you hit a Mirror of Delirium, I think it's like 80-ish chaos, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, like 75 chaos each. There's a lot more where that came from. You have to figure these out yourself, because if I tell him right now and you watch this like 2 weeks later, everything will have changed, right? But basically, I just made back my investment, and all I am left with is just free pack size here. I can obviously reroll, right? If I don't want this, I just reroll over it. I reroll. Now this one also sells, funnily enough. So let's go over this one. Let's see what this one's worth. Actually, I can't check this one here, but I'm pretty sure as of this recording, this one's like 18, 19 chaos. So yeah, overall, this is just like straight up money. Now I actually hit it again. I hit it again. All right, more free money. I'll take it. Let's do this again. All right, whatever, right? And you basically just do this over and over. You sell these later, you stash them, and later you sell them in bulk, either on TFT, or you just put them in the trade and you sell them singles, whatever you wish to. Now, what you're left with at the end is we just spent 10 Sextants, which is like 30 chaos, right? And you got back, I don't know, like 50-ish chaos in these, right? So you already made a plus. But at the end of the tunnel, you also have 4 maps that are juiced up for free, right? So yeah, that's basically why you should be using Sextants if you have the money to. This is kind of a rich get richer situation, right? If you don't have money for Sextants, you're not going to get the gains. But if you have the currency, definitely go for it. Also, something I always want to reference to if we're talking about like mapping strats is I actually made a bulk selling guide, I think 3 months ago, that is still completely up to date, basically. And what that will tell you is how you can sell a lot of something very, very easily. Because the way you want to approach these kind of sessions, right? This kind of farming is you want to farm for like, for example, we farmed for like 4 days straight, and we put everything in a stash. We dump everything here. We just don't think about anything but farming. And at the end of the tunnel, we have selling them all at once. Because the problem is, if you would have to sell like after every map, right? You have to sell one of this for like a chaos or half a chaos, right? That is very, very annoying. That's a lot of trades. Like, look at these. This would be like thousands of little trades, whereas instead you can just price these and one person will buy all of them from you, right? So definitely check out that video. I will link it both in the description and in the pinned comment down below. And I will also put a disclaimer here, but this is true for basically all the farming methods. I just want to say it again and again. If you're not willing to do a big trading session at the end, which takes you like 3-4 hours, where you get everything out, you will not see any gains, right? Because guess what? My Essence tab right here is like tens of exalts worth, right? My Fragment tab right here is worth tens of exalts if I don't sell it, right? My map tab is, I think, quilling over. I have over 1,000 T15 maps. If I don't sell any of those, well, that's a problem, right? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you make a lot of exalts. So that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe. As always, huge thank you to my Twitch subscribers and my Patreons. I couldn't do content like this without you. Thank you so much for the support. But yeah, this strategy has been an absolute blast. Winter Orb has been an absolute blast. Doing these new strats, I absolutely love the new passive tree. It gives us so many things to do. I'm actually going to churn out a lot of more of these guides. If I find something, I'll definitely inform you right away. But with that being said, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.